The laughter came first, sharp, public, unforgiving. "Fix this engine and I'll marry you. Deal." The CEO's words echoed through the factory floor, followed by a wave of mocking applause. Phones came out. Smiles widened. Everyone was watching the single dad in grease-stained overalls standing beside a dead production line that had cost the company millions in losses that morning. Ethan Walker didn't laugh. He stood there quietly, hands blackened with oil, lunchbox dented from years of use, eyes flicking briefly toward the glass office above, where his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, waited in the break room with a coloring book because he couldn't afford childcare today. Ethan wasn't embarrassed. He was tired, bone-deep tired from years of surviving instead of living. Claire Montgomery, CEO of Montgomery Dynamics, was used to power. At 35, she was brilliant, ruthless, and allergic to weakness, or so she believed. The factory breakdown had investors breathing down her neck and stress sharpened her tongue. When she saw Ethan, just the quiet maintenance guy who always worked night shifts, something ugly rose in her chest. Fear disguised as arrogance. "No pressure," she added sarcastically. "But every engineer we hired failed. Thought I'd give our janitor a shot." The crowd laughed again. Ethan looked at the engine. Not just glanced, he studied it. The sound it had made before dying still rang in his ears. He'd heard that sound before, years ago, in another life. "I'll try," he said calmly. That only fueled the mockery. What no one there knew was that Ethan Walker used to design engines like this. He once sat in boardrooms, not break rooms. He once had patents, not overdue bills. But when his wife, Rebecca, died from an undiagnosed heart condition, his world collapsed overnight. Grief swallowed him whole. He left his firm, sold everything, took whatever job allowed him to be home when Lily woke from nightmares calling for her mother. Ethan rolled up his sleeves. The first challenge came fast. The engine wasn't just broken, it was sabotaged by a cascade failure deep inside the core assembly. Engineers had replaced parts blindly, making it worse. Claire crossed her arms, already preparing to fire him publicly when he failed. Ethan didn't rush. He listened. He felt the vibrations. He shut his eyes, remembering Rebecca's voice telling him to trust himself again. Minutes passed. The laughter faded into awkward silence. Ethan found the problem, a microfracture in a custom valve, invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. The fix wasn't in any manual. He improvised, rewired, rebalanced, used a trick he'd invented 10 years ago that never made it to production because it was too risky. Claire scoffed. "This isn't a charity, Mr. Walker. You're wasting time." Ethan didn't respond. He turned the engine on. For a terrifying second, nothing happened. Then the machine roared to life, smooth, powerful, perfect. The factory went silent. Monitors lit up green, alerts vanished, millions of dollars saved in an instant. Someone dropped a phone. Claire's face drained of color. The second challenge came after the harder one, pride. Claire descended the stairs slowly, heels echoing like gunshots. The crowd parted. She looked at Ethan, really looked at him for the first time, not as a janitor, as a man who had just done what her entire executive team could not. "You said you'd marry me," someone joked nervously. Ethan wiped his hands and finally met Claire's eyes. "My wife died 8 years ago," he said softly. "Marriage isn't a punchline to me." The room froze. Claire felt something crack inside her. Shame. Real shame, not the kind you bury with money. "I'm sorry," she said. The words tasted unfamiliar. "I had no right." The third challenge came days later. Claire offered him a senior engineering role with a salary that could change his life overnight. Everyone assumed he'd say yes. Ethan didn't. "I need flexible hours," he said. "I won't miss my daughter's school plays or her nightmares." The board pushed back. Investors complained. A single dad with conditions wasn't convenient. Claire made a choice that shocked everyone. She backed him anyway. Weeks passed, the factory thrived. Ethan rebuilt systems, trained young engineers. His quiet leadership changed the culture. Claire watched from a distance, slowly learning what strength actually looked like. One evening, she found Ethan in the parking lot, helping Lily learn to ride a bike. "You could have walked away that day," Claire said. "Why didn't you?" Ethan smiled at his daughter. "Because broken things deserve a chance to be fixed." Claire swallowed hard. Months later, at a company charity event, Claire stood on stage and told the story without excuses, without jokes. She admitted her cruelty. She apologized publicly, not for image, for truth. The applause that followed wasn't polite, it was earned. Ethan never married Claire, but he did help her become someone better. And one Sunday morning, as Lily sang in her church choir, Ethan realized something profound. Dignity isn't given by titles, and real power isn't about who you can mock, but who you choose to lift when no one else will. Because sometimes the engine that needs fixing is the human heart.